of creative ways from the produce section to grocery to get your hydration in. It's so important, especially right now, the heat is on. So whether you're active or not, there are different ways that you can hydrate and different ways that you can take advantage of really delicious mocktails and beverages. So let's start in the produce section, and let's start with 100% fruit juice. I love anything from the Naked Juice brand because it is 100% fruit juice, and they do a really nice job at getting a lot of different blends into their drinks. If you like a green juice, they have an awesome one that has a lot of different vegetables. If you're trying to get your kids to enjoy some extra fruits and vegetables, if they're a little on the picky side, they're gonna get all their vitamins and nutrients that they need from the juice. Where juice differs from having a regular piece of produce is you're just not going to get the fiber, but as long as you are having other sources of it, you're in a great place and can absolutely use 4 ounces of juice as a serving of fruit. So I really like these on their own. This one is great because it is a protein shake. And so if you are concerned about your blood glucose, if you are someone who likes to use fruit juices as a way to get their produce serving in, then these are fantastic because the protein that you have in the beverage is going to help to balance out how that blood glucose gets absorbed, and it's going to keep you fuller longer. So that's always an option when it comes to fruit juice. If you do have one of their regular juices, their non-smoothies, like this one doesn't have the protein in it, you can always use this as a base for a smoothie. You can just do ice and Greek yogurt. Really, there's such simple ways to make it into something that is a little bit more sustaining, because using it as a base for smoothies and just blending it in with 1 or 2 of those ingredients is such a great way to bulk up the satiety to make you feel fuller longer and have a really easy breakfast. I know a lot of times in the summer especially, it can feel like when you are rushing or maybe even sleeping in a little bit because the traffic's a little better, that you can get a little bit rushed in the morning. Having a smoothie, especially with 100% fruit juice, is a great way to keep your nutrients up.
So a question that came through in the chat.
Sure.
It says, do I need to worry about sugar in juice?
It's a great question. So it can be a little bit daunting when you look at the nutrition label and you end up seeing that there is sugar in fruit juice. The thing to remember is, especially with something like a product like Naked Juice, it's 100% fruit juice, and fruit does have natural fructose sugar. It's something that you are going to get when you eat your produce servings. Like I was saying before, especially in a combination beverage like this one that has the protein in it, that protein is going to help to slow down the absorption of the sugar, unlike having just a straight fruit juice with nothing in your stomach. But that's pretty rare. Even if you're having fruit juice with your breakfast, whether that is eggs or some oatmeal with nuts, if you're having that with your 4 ounces of juice as your fruit serving, you're going to be in a great place to get those nutrients by sipping. So you don't have to worry about that.
We have another question actually that just
Sure.
says, does juice count towards, you said, a serving of fruit?
Does juice count towards a serving of fruit? It certainly does. Like I said, 4 ounces of fruit juice or vegetable juice counts towards a serving of fruit. The one thing that you want to keep in mind is that you want to be getting fiber. And if you aren't eating whole fruits and vegetables and you're relying on the juice, you want to just look for other ways to get your fiber, maybe from whole grains. So let's move on to fruit, and specifically citrus fruit, which is such a game changer when it comes to hydration in the summertime. So even if we're just talking about water, you cannot go wrong with using citrus to flavor your water. Again, you are in control of getting a punch of flavor, whether you are using the zest or whether you are cutting it into wedges. So this may seem strange, but I actually feel like getting a little cutting tutorial on how to do these wedges makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to show you how I like to do it. I like to cut the edges off the lemons. Then I like to cut it in half. And then depending on the width, you could cut it in half again or go a little bit on the angle to do it into thirds. And then if you want it to nicely get onto your glass, just do the tiniest little cut in the center so that you could split it and put it on your glass. You can also do your rounds, which work really well. And just 2 pieces of citrus can really make such a difference in how you present a drink. and how you enjoy it. So I really like to just play with this even as a garnish, but even if you are using a plain seltzer or plain water, it can be such a nice mocktail. So let's just pour that in over ice.
While you're doing that, Shelby, we have another question.
Sure.
Says, can eating a whole fruit count towards hydration?
Eating fruits can definitely count towards hydration. Obviously, citrus fruits, because they are so juicy, you're going to get a little bit more. It's why if you grew up having orange slices at the soccer games, that is such a crucial thing because you've got that vitamin C in there, which is going to help towards immunity. It's going to help towards hydration. So it's kind of getting, two for the price of one. You're getting your fruit serving, you're getting your fiber serving if you're eating it from whole fruit, and you're getting your hydration. So it can absolutely count towards getting hydrated. And it can vary it. If you're not too big a fan of water and you're concerned about having more than just even one bottle of water a day, there's so many different ways that you can mix and match your beverages so that you can get it. We already talked about our juices. We talked about squeezing that fruit juice from citrus fruits and kind of making your own mocktail. Even if you want to take 100% juice, like I have our Wholesome Pantry lemonade here, just a splash is not going to be too much sugar. You're certainly not turning it into something that is now an unhealthy beverage. You are just getting your hydration. And a little bit of sugar, especially if you are active, you're going to lose some of that in your sweat like you lose electrolytes. So it really is okay. And I mean, look how pretty that looks. It's just plain seltzer, some citrus and lemonade, and it looks so refreshing, and it is going to be refreshing for you by the pool.
So another question that we have, are there any benefits to increasing vitamin C consumption?
There are benefits to increasing vitamin C consumption, and what I really like about it is it's kind of a all-win, no-risk situation because the likelihood of consuming too much vitamin C from citrus and it being too much is very unlikely. So by upping it, there's actually a lot of health benefits towards immunity and just overall health and well-being. So you should never be afraid to take some citrus and use that for flavoring because it is a natural source of flavor and it really can pack a lot of punch, especially if you're using the zest. Little tip here, I always remind people of this because I learned it a while ago. If you want to, let's say, create a pitcher of infused water, this rind, that white that you see here, that is where the bitterness comes from. If you've ever left a wedge of lemon or lime in your juice or your water and it started to taste kind of bitter, that is because that rind is making it do so. So if you take the fruit slices and just do it like this, get that rind off, and you want to infuse a pitcher of water or plain seltzer, you can absolutely do it this way, and you're not going to get that bitterness. So you can just keep on refilling it. I have some water and lime bowl and basket, watermelon. This is my favorite bowl and basket seltzer, by the way. It is so good. And you can just let that infuse, and you have got a really tasty beverage that's not going to get that bitterness. So you can make it in advance, which is really nice if the flavored water. I will tell you, whether it is putting a citrus in your water, whether it is adding a little carbonation, or even just adding a straw or getting a new cup, all of these things are tips and tricks that I have seen with people that I have counseled in the past that help them to drink more water, to drink more fluids. It may seem like such a simple change, but it is worth experimenting. If adding a little bit of citrus to plain water is what's going to get you to get those fluids in, then that's perfect, and you found something that works for you. So we talked a little bit about how our oranges can be our sports citrus, but what about when we are active or when it's really hot like it is right now in the Northeast and we need to replace our electrolytes? So electrolytes are those salts like sodium and chloride that we lose through sweat. And it is very important to replace them the same way that you are replacing the water that you lose when it's really hot. So I have a couple of options here. I have one for adults, which the Pedialyte is for adults just as much as they have products for kids. I love this one because it's like the coconut water, so it has that really natural and tropical taste, so that can be really nice with some pineapple. And you have tons of electrolytes in here, which is wonderful. And they have a lot of different flavors as well. You can definitely carbonate this too, but it works just fine because the flavors are already baked into the beverage. That works really well. And I just think it's important to know about all the different ways that you can get electrolytes electrolytes because there are different flavors, and I think Pedialyte does a really nice job of making sure you're getting enough, because some of the symptoms of dehydration you can mistake for too little water, but it can actually be that you're low in electrolytes.
We have a question. It says, do I need electrolytes even if I'm not playing sports?
You absolutely do need electrolytes even if you're not playing sports, especially in the summer. Maybe not so much in the winter time when you're not outside as much and not sweating as much, but when it is this hot, it's pretty unlikely that you are not going to be losing some of those electrolytes. And I usually tell people it's worth making, one of your 8 to 16 ounce servings of water, one of those cups or bottles that you're getting in a day. Make one of them an electrolyte beverage and make that a daily practice, especially in the hot weather. If you're playing sports, up it even more. But if you are just living your life, it's good to get those electrolytes in too. Now, kids and summer activities, you have to make sure they are hydrating. And I know that can be difficult. They can be a little bit picky. So how great are these Mott's Actives? They are perfect for little hands. They are a perfect serving size, and they come in such delicious flavors. This is the watermelon burst. I love this, especially if you mix it with that watermelon seltzer. If you have kids who like the bubbles, like the carbonation, such a fun way to mix it up and make it fun for them. They also have this great berry flavor, so you can just have different ones of these. You can also freeze these into popsicles, make little healthy electrolyte popsicles for them. Just a lot of cute and clever ways to get that hydration up. And it's so important for them to be hydrating as well and to be open to different ways to try different beverages, even if they think that they don't like water. There's so many different options for getting that hydration in.
What are some symptoms of dehydration?
Some symptoms of dehydration, that's such a good question. It's something you always want to be on the lookout for, because a lot of times people actually mistake that they're hungry, and it can be sort of a dehydration thing, especially in the summer. So if you're getting a headache, if you're noticing that you're thirsty even after you just drank a little bit, like 8 ounces, and you're really thirsty, if you're already thirsty, especially if you're outside, that's your body telling you you're already getting to that point where you need some hydration. So we want to make sure that the same way we don't want to get to that point of being starving before we eat, you want to make sure you're staying hydrated throughout the day so you never get to that point where you're too thirsty. But paying attention for headaches and dizziness, lightheadedness, and just, things like that are always good signs of just making sure that you always have something on you to stay hydrated. And even if it's one of each of the things I mentioned, if you start with a juice, have a water, make a mocktail, get an electrolyte beverage, all of that counts towards getting yourself nice and hydrated. So make sure you are sipping this summer. ShopRite has you covered with all of these wonderful items to make sure that you're staying healthy with hydration all summer long.